Hi, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tech Exec Podcast, where I'll help you create teams worth leading, because life's too short to lead a mediocre team. As always, I'm your host, Aviv Ben-Yosef, Tech Executive Coach and Consultant, and our subject today is Document Absurdity. This is about something that actually is getting on my nerves, and I just recently realized this, and I realized how annoyed I got when I realized it. And that is, if you've been following me for the past few years, you no doubt have heard me say that it's crucially important for leaders to start producing some things in writing. That when we write, we actually understand better what we're doing. We're making future onboarding so much easier. We're making it easier for ourselves to track our progress, because doing that will actually have records of why did we choose to do something, what did we take into consideration, and then when we realize later that we made the wrong call, maybe we can understand what in our thinking was lacking, etc. When we have that paper trail. And also, I just believe that writing makes us think better, and you don't have to write everything, pen and paper. Yeah, I have my fancy fountain pens here, etc. You can just use a regular pen. I've also got these here. These you can get 10 of those in a box for like €2 on Amazon, or you can use your computer. That's also fine. But the thing is, and you can use a fancy notebook, you can use a field notes, you can use whatever. You can see I'm writing all over the place. But the important thing here is that you have to learn how to actually put your thinking into words. You can do that with an LLM, you can do it by yourself, but at least do that. And I've been saying that for years now. And when ChatGPT and its friends started pumping out, I started saying, hey, this is an amazing tool for you to start putting things into writing, even if you don't like writing, because it can help you get there. And because we're not talking about, a blog post or writing War and Peace, I think it's fine to use an LLM to write that for you. Fast forward, now software engineering has become centered around maintaining a bunch of writing, a bunch of files that we're writing, and it's not code, it's all of those markdown files that we're writing and maintaining. But for who? Is it for our teams? Is it for ourselves? For the future employees we're going to be onboarding? No, we're only doing that for the agents. We've decided that it's more crucial to ensure that the computers have something to read than the people in our teams. Now, to me, this is absurd. I'm looking at it, I'm saying, how have we gotten to the point where we value the computer's time more than we value our own time, where we think about how to make the computer learn faster, not realizing that we've been wasting so many opportunities for ourselves to learn faster. And the point of today's episode, actually, I've got two to make. First, I want you to realize this absurdity. I want you to take a second and think, oh my God, I can't believe that what I'm prioritizing as a leader is the LLM over my team. If you've only started writing documents or telling the LLM to write documents with input you give it, only for the agents and not for your people, you have something wrong in your prioritization. You're not thinking about things correctly. You're not investing in your team and in yourself as you ought to. I know that maybe you think that the AI is helping you produce things faster and therefore this is a good investment. But trust me, investing in your people to do this thinking, to put things into writing, would have paid off much, much sooner and still can. Point number 2 is exactly about that. Don't make the mistake. I'm assuming you're by now creating these documents. At least don't waste them again by having them be solely AI centered. Ensure that what you're writing is also human readable and actually valuable for your teams. So when you're creating something, for example, right now, a lot of people are realizing that, as an example, ADRs, architectural design reviews, these documents that we're creating in order to document our decisions, what we contemplated, what were the approaches that we were considered, why did we choose what we ended up choosing, what were our assumptions, etc. These are useful for AI to learn how to write the code, but they're also useful for a team when they have to get into the system and understand what's happening and decide how to change it in the future. And therefore, you have to ensure that when you're creating these, you're doing it in a way that's still valuable also for people. So don't just let the AI write those and don't even read them like people are doing now with code. At least when it comes to the documents, I want you to read them and ensure that they're written in a way that a human being can read them without wanting to blow their faces off. Because LLMs can obviate, I think that's the verb I'm looking for, so long, so prolix. They write so much that no human actually finds it interesting. So you have to ensure that you make them write in a way that's more concise and human readable, so humans can also consume the content and get value from it. And lastly, if we're looking at that, I want you to think about these documents that you're producing and see if you can produce some more that maybe the AI isn't asking you to do or won't benefit immediately from, but while you're already at it, you can create these to help your team. So when it comes to different decisions that you're making as you're working with the AI, things you're considering, when you're reviewing your weeks, etc., when you're doing your work, think about how can we leverage AI in order to generate those extra documents that will help us, even if the AI is not going to be leveraging it, because now we're creating many more documents and doing it with much more easiness, much more easily. Sorry. Now that I'm picking up Italian, sometimes I'm getting short circuit in my brain with all the different languages I'm trying to keep in the air. Anyway, now that we're doing this with increased easiness or whatever, I want you to leverage it. Don't just use it solely for the straightforward thing, which is have the agents eat it up, but also think about your team and what you can do. So if you have a retro, if you're planning your next sprint, if you're reviewing the quarter, try to create some extra documents along the way that will use you to review your learning, have it incorporated in feedback sessions with people, and ensure that you're learning, becoming better, and noticing your different thought patterns, your wrong assumptions, etc., so people can improve and learn. That's it for this week. As always, thank you for joining me. If you haven't yet, do check out my newsletter. It's the best newsletter online for tech execs, where every week you're going to get this podcast, an extra video, an article, and some extra goodies, usually all for free. So you ain't got anything to lose. The link is in the show notes. And also, if you have any questions or comments, my email's in the show notes. And I'm always happy to hear from listeners. And I'll see you here next week. Ciao.